Hey, Max. Good. How are you? Good. Hug some out. Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's a happy holiday around here, and people say Chag Sameach. Anyway, so Chag Sameach for anyone who's celebrating Sukkot. Um, so, anyway, folks, what's happening with the world of Bitcoin? As I come to you live from a land under barrages of rocket fire. I've been in secured bomb shelters multiple times today already, because that's how it is sometimes when you live or spend a lot of time in a place that's under constant rocket fire, drone attacks, and mortar fire, missile attacks, and other kinds of flying ordnance. So that's the situation on the ground. And how does that affect trading? Well, as I've told you many times before, it means very low time frame, fast scalps is what it means, because you certainly don't want to sit in an open trading position when you are, when you need to go to a shelter. If your computer isn't in one, or if your trading device isn't in one, or if you don't get good computer signals or data signals in a shelter, because they can be made of quite thick concrete, and if you don't have a computer hooked up to a line in there, Wi-Fi or even 4G or 5G isn't always the greatest in such places. And besides, when there's ordnance flying overhead and exploding, you know, it's not really the thing you want to be doing, especially when you're responsible for the safety of other people. You got other things on your mind, and you don't really want to pay attention to screens. So, or at least not trading screens, that's for sure. So, apart from that, for all of you who live in regular places, normal, like more peaceful places, hopefully, what to make of this new big, high time frame, big picture, new incoming weekly time frame candle on Bitcoin and other coins that have done relatively well so far this week. And hello to you, Sean. Nice to see you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Well, to make of this incoming weekly candle, we'll see where the data shows us that it ends up printing, and what the RMLRs end up printing, and what the AVRs end up printing, and what entropy ends up printing, and AVQ ends up printing. And so far, given the performance of the weekly candle so far, it certainly is looking to be set up for a pretty good new candle. Now, of course, a lot depends on between now and about, I guess, 10 hours or so from now, 11 hours from now, when the new weekly candle prints. Maybe about 10 hours from now. I forgot exactly what time it is now, but prints it like 8 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern time. And a lot can happen between now and then, obviously. And if you look at the daily AVRs and stuff today, it's kind of a mixed bag. You got the variance looking up, AVRs looking up also, but like direction predictors on the daily are looking down. Entropy still in a trending move on the daily. We're looking a little bit down, starting to fade a little bit. Doesn't mean that we can't see a basically flat day or a move a little bit up. It's certainly possible. Obviously, the CMEs come back online later today, so that will have some measurable impact, possibly in terms of the number of people actively trading Bitcoin. But I tend to think that market is typically a little bit overblown, but in terms of its the recognition of its impact, but people do trade around the time it opens. That certainly is a fact. And we'll see how the market goes by between now and the end of the day, which is also the end of the week. And then the new week incoming has, if it prints roughly where it looks like it's going to print, given if you look at the VREs and you look at the probability distribution points on Laplace and normal distribution, for the weekly. And if you look at the RMLRs, look, if next week, like I said, if this week could stay above the 67K area and start next week off above that, and even above, it would have to be higher now because of where the RMLR. Hey, third band has printed. It was like the third band to the downside on the 3012 on the weekly. So now we'd have to print above, like basically where it's at now, or even a bit above, to not hit that third band to the downside again on the RMLR, which if it does, just delays the inevitable by yet another candle. And by inevitable, I mean the mean reversion to the 3012 RMLR to the upside, which is still hanging about, above 100K, somewhere around 106K or 111K, I forget the exact number. It doesn't really matter, right? And again, that's a very high time frame projection, not one to trade as a scalper, but it's one to know what the high time frame is looking at. So there certainly are many targets along the way between where it's currently sitting, following the returns, and where it might end up in the next week. There are a lot of targets to the upside. Last week went up, or this current week went up so far around 8%, maybe 7, 8%, something like that, which is pretty much the entirety of what has gone up so far this month in October, because of the drop that there was in the first half of the month, which I told you was very probable, and it's happened exactly. So keep an eye on that, because that is highly probable. This next week is that we'll have a continuation on entropy expanding. If that happens, and if we see a trending move starting to develop on entropy, the trending move to the upside could certainly be developed and start expanding significantly, in which case, if it's going to be a move to the upside, it would be possibly quite a very nice week. Look also at AVQ, because AVQ has been signaling to the upside, or indicating to the upside, very nicely on the weekly, just above the MA. And if it continues to do so on the new weekly, it could be another very nice week. It depends on how it goes. And if you look at the daily on the AVQs, you see exactly why it's such a powerful indicator when it crosses above the MA, or when it gets to an outlier and then returns towards the mean, reverts towards the mean. So keep an eye on those indicators. Definitely keep an eye on volatility. Look at how it's performing. Look at how it's moving. I see your flower. Yes, anyway, so there's a lot to see in terms of how the AVQ is going to do, and the AVR is going to do, and entropy as well. On the very high time frame, rather, we're not trading the very high time frame. We're just looking at the big picture for the very high time frame, and we're not going to take positions on super high time frames as traders of low time frames. Yes, there are people who do, I get it, but people like me who are scalpers who trade low time frames, we're looking at positions that are like on the 1 minute time frame, or the 3 minute time frame, or the 6 minute time frame, or maybe the 9 or the 15 tops, and stay in those trades a very short amount of time relatively. Like if I'm trading on the 1 minute, I'm probably not staying in that trade more than 7 minutes on average. 15 minutes tops. Depends on the run. It's not a set limit or something, but just to give you a rough estimate of how long my trades typically last, anywhere from like 1 to 7 minutes is really quite normal. 7 to 15 also sometimes normal. It really depends on how the asset is moving. And if I miss a trade, I miss a trade, right? I don't care. Like I'd rather miss a trade than lose a trade. So I can always get in at the next occurrence of opportunity. And there is always another occurrence of opportunity when you're trading volatile assets, especially assets like Bitcoin, right? You're not going to run out of an occurrence of opportunity just because, oh no, I missed the trade on the 1 minute. Like, no, there's probably going to be multiple trades you can catch during this hour, right? You're not going to be like, oh no, there isn't an opportunity for me to catch the next trade. No, that's not a thing on a low time frame like a 1 minute, right? There's always going to be another occurrence of opportunity for you to trade on low time frames. That is the reason to trade low time frames, right? Now, of course, you have to keep in mind, let's say I'm trading the 1 minute. Of course, I'm going to look at like the 15-minute intraday kind of as a monitor for the intraday, how it's moving along, right? But just because the 15-minute is indicating, let's say, to the downside, does that mean that I can't scalp to the long, to the upside? No, it doesn't mean that. I can still take a move to the upside, but I'm going to limit, right, how long I stay in that move pretty significantly, especially if something like the 15-minute or the 9-minute are saying, yeah, it's going down right now, right? But if I see very, very clear indications on the 1 minute, this thing's heading up for a minute or two, I'll take that trade and I'll just get right out as soon as it makes that move. Now, why would I do that? What's the point? Well, if the occurrence of opportunity is there, I don't care about the direction, right? I just care about winning the trade. So that's why I would take that move. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, high time frames, like I said, they're big picture, kind of visuals to have an idea of where the asset is going in the big picture. So as an investor, they're very useful time frames, high time frames. But as a trader, they're useless in the sense that you should not let the high time frames affect your trades, right? Because unless the entire workflow from a very high time frame, like a weekly, all the way down to like the 15-minute and even the 1 minute, are all in the same direction, then there's no bearing really on what's happening on the low time frame from the high time frame, right? They are independent of each other. Yes, they affect each other. They do have some kind of correlation, but what happens on super high time frames like the weekly or whatever, or even the monthly, are completely different animals. Yes, they're made up of what happens on the lower time frame, but you need to keep in mind that it's the low time frames where those trading actions happen. So do that and keep your eyes on the targets on the new weeklies. Do your workflow all the way down to the low time frames. And if you want to learn how to do this, remember, go to alphatraడింghq.com/discord. Again, alphatraడింghq.com/discord. And check out the live streams, which start at 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. See you in the Discord or see you on Rumble. And happy trading. Cheers.